Alright, guys, hey, welcome back, boys and girls, to another episode of Welcome to the Matrix. With a little background music, we can get right into it, guys. So, this week, I was doing some interesting work. Man, look at the new Strat. So badass. Isn't that beautiful? So in my age, I gotta keep moving, man. I gotta kind of find things that will inspire me. With carpal tunnel in my left hand, I'm not always inspired to want to sit down and play. Which begs the question: why do you even have guitars? What's the deal? I can't say how it all got started, but I think once you get started, you progressively just kind of move around until you kind of find your groove with whatever it is you're doing. So, anyway, in the last week, I decided I would get rid of all my Telecasters. Yeah. I kind of got Telecastered out. I mean, I had four, and I figured the only one I'm really interested in keeping is my Firefly. This one, and this was the first one I actually bought because it came with a tremolo, and because of the personal modding that I did to it, and actually, even before I took the other Tellies to trade them in at Guitar Center, I did play this one and realized that I do preferably like this one better. The headstock was never really Telly style. This one was used in a lot of their Strat styles, but at least this one had locking tuners. I'm not sure if the other Telecasters did, but the ones that I had didn't. So this is the only one I'm going to keep because it's a little bit more personal to me than the other ones, and it still has the armrest thing here too. So this one just has a different feel to me. So I'll be holding on to that one. I did a little work on the Dean in the back there. It had a little bit too much neck relief, so I put a little bit of time aside and addressed that issue. And so I realized that with the neck relief, if I straighten it out, then the Floyd Rose would be too low. So I realized there was going to have to be some work done to it. There you can kind of see the top a little better. Reflection City, good grief. So and this is what's interesting about this Dean guitar is it's a 24 fret scale length, but it's like it plays like butter compared to a lot of other 24 fret guitars that I have had. This one plays exceptionally well, and that's the reason why I got it. It's not as bright red as you're seeing it. I think for whatever reasons the phone camera likes to pick up things. I don't know what that's all about. But so after adjusting the neck and gotten it pretty much flat, I realized that the Floyd Rose would be too low. So while there was no tension on the Floyd Rose, I backed off the Floyd Rose so that I could raise the post to the proper height and get it done. So that's done finally. I was procrastinating that because working on the Floyd Rose is just it's a bitch, man. Nobody likes working on Floyd Roses. That's why they charge you so much to work on a Floyd Rose. Oops. Whoa, easy, bro. So, I took in my Telecasters, and then I ended up taking a little trip to Orange County, and I ended up with the 59 Epiphone Les Paul limited edition. But how that came about was kind of an accident. Long story short, I was going to Orange County to buy a very cheap guitar a Strat style guitar under a different name, but a name that I was familiar with. And I thought it would be kind of cool to maybe fix it up, play around with it. But so I drove to Orange County, and I ended up pretty close to Orange County Guitar Center called The Block. I knew I was in that area, but so I was like, well, if things don't work out, then maybe I would head over there. So I get to this apartment complex, and I wasn't sure, how it was a gated sort of a complex. So I was hesitant to pull in because I didn't have a code, and I was texting the seller and I wasn't getting a response. And so as I was trying to figure out what to do, the person behind me got very agitated and road raged me. So I did a little road rage myself, but nothing got out of hand. But he was one of those guys that had to get out of the car and pump his chest. Big tough guy. He wasn't big, but I didn't want to create that big of a scene, so I just called him out, made him look like a fool, and then sent him on his way. He was like, "You're lucky my wife's here, or I would totally kick your ass." I'm like, "Yeah, okay, well, thank you. Yeah, thank your wife for not kicking my ass. Thank God, But every guy's a tough guy when they get offended. So, and I didn't do anything other than kind of hesitate to pull over because I wasn't sure what to do. But because people are impatient, they want to kill you. So that's the way it is. Life in California. Welcome. So I got to the apartment complex, and the lady who was selling this pretty nice, decent looking Strat, she effing ghosted me, man. I drove all the way out there to pick it up, and she ghosted me. So I waited a little while. I texted her, and I was like, well, that kind of sucks. 20 minutes, no answer. I was like, well, F you then. I'm going to go to Guitar Center, Orange County, The Block. And so I did. And I was there playing some guitars, and I go right to the used sections. I never really waste time. I'm looking at all the used guitars, and they have a pretty decent collection. I've been there before. I think this is my third time, maybe fourth time. And this was hanging on their wall of shame. So this is a 1959 limited edition Epiphone Les Paul in the tobacco burst, with a mahogany body and a maple cap with a maple veneer. And maybe you guys can answer me this question. I've always wondered, why does Gibson on Epiphone or Gibsons put such a thick ass piece of maple on the mahogany? Does that really make a difference? And then why do some vendors just use all mahogany with no maple cap and maybe just a veneer? I mean, if electric guitars don't really have tone wood properties, why put, like, this is supposed to have either a 1/2 inch or a 1/4 inch, or I don't know, it's got a pretty thick piece of maple on top of this mahogany. But is it supposed to make it brighter? I don't know. I mean, if electric guitars are void of tone woods, then why does Epiphone use maple on their bodies and then mahogany's on the other side? Anyway, so maybe it does make a difference. I'm always a believer that tone woods don't on electric guitar are irrelevant. It's all about sustain, maybe. So the history of this guitar for me is I've owned this same model before, twice over. And reluctantly, when I first saw them a year ago at Guitar Center Marietta, they only had a lemon burst, but this was the one that I was really excited about. But they didn't have it in stock. So, I went home and I contacted my rep over at Sweetwater. I said, hey, dude, I want to get one of these, but I want it in this tobacco burst. I really like it. It's got the USA humbuckers, Mallory capacitors, good electronics, good pickups. Weak side is Laurel fretboard. I don't get it. At that time, these were $7, $8.99 on sale from $9.99. So I was trying to grab one, and I did, and it got sent out to me. Long story short, the ones that got sent out to me were just a dud. I was having intonation issues with the bridge on both of them that they sent out to me. They wouldn't intonate. And they were already maxed out, especially here on the E string. So what was crazy is, and I've said this many times, it doesn't matter how many guitars are in production. Sometimes there's just a dud, or if a line of dud, or sometimes they don't come out right, and you won't find out. But if you're critical like me about intonation and having a guitar play right and sound right, then that's pretty critical, especially at that price point at that time. $7.99, $8.99. They came with a hard case with this really lame ass pink interior. I didn't really dig that. But anyway, so with that, and being frustrated with the amount of money that I was, investing in, and not having the quality of having proper intonation and playability, and with the Laurel fretboard, I just said, I sent that shit back. I'm like, no. Come and behold this particular unit at Guitar Center, Orange County. I picked it up the rack, and I was like, hey, I kind of know you. You're an old friend. But this one, for whatever reasons, just, man, everything was perfect. The sound, the playability, the intonation, everything about it. But what's crazy is it was almost half the price of everything that was brand new, and about at least $300 to $400 on the used market cheaper. So Guitar Center was practically giving it away, not giving it away, but heavily discounted, with an additional 10% off on all of their new and used vintage gear. Which over there at Orange County, they were trying to act dumb, like, oh, we didn't know about that, because I was like, I'm buying this. And with my credit from the Tellys, I only spent $60 out of pocket to get it. So that was a killer deal. So yeah, these guitars are really, really nice. But this one was definitely nice. Like, definitely way better. I have it here. Let's pull it up. So let's see what we got. So on the used market, this one's $5.99. Used, 1959. It's the same guitar. But it doesn't mean it's the same guitar. You just don't know, just because you see it and it looks nice, blah, 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 and you talk about what it is and, the specs and all that. You just don't know until it's in your hands just exactly how well it's going to work out. And so with this as tax, you're probably looking at about $650. I didn't get anywhere near that. And then here's the one. This is the same guitar, believe it. This is the same guitar, still selling new. If you wanted it brand new with the case, $9.99. Like, that's just stupid, man. I would have never looked at this again after my experiences with it. And you see, it's got the same guitar. It's the same thing, except this one comes with a case for $9.99. And then they have a newer version of these 59s, and this is inspired by Gibson, which I think this is more of what I got here. But it's not inspired by Gibson. I think they have a different headstock on these particular models, and the back is quite different too. And then they have incorporated some newer stuff. You see, it's got the book matched headstock there. But $12.99. So you're looking at $13.65 roughly. For that. This out the door was $400 and some change. That makes a lot of sense. They probably robbed me of the case. It probably did have a case, but I didn't get the case, and but I was okay with it because it was like I didn't really give a crap. But this thing plays. I'll do another video of this. I don't want to make this video too long, but I'm just kind of bringing you up to date of, you know, getting rid of my Telecasters was a good thing, because as much as I like what they represent, I'm just not a tele type guy. That's kind of what I am not. And it's even hard for me to get into the for the price point at that time, the Epiphone 59, which was killer because of the electronics, and the craftsmanship and the quality of, you know, the maple and stuff like that. And it's a very beautiful guitar. I mean, I dig the satin vibe, you know, the AAA veneer on it. It's really nice. This one just really stood out. You know, I've cleaned it up. Now, imagine you're paying all of that money and then you don't even get a real rosewood fretboard. That's the thing. That is not right, you know. I had to, you know, use a little lubricant on the switch, which was kind of catching, but, you know, really, really nice. Now, as much as it's got a thicker profile of a neck, for the price, this has to be a keeper, because you're never going to find this same guitar even used for less than 500. There's no way. Maybe in a couple of years, but whatever. So anyway, moving along, guys. Man, I can't. Man, look at that paint. It's just. Thank you, Lord Jesus. And this one too. Like, go figure. How it's perfect. The intonation is perfect. The playability is even better than the other ones. Wow. Amazing. And it's an amazing guitar. It really is. Those Pro Buckers USA made are really nice. And then I get to this one. I was Guitar Center, Moreno Valley, trading in the last of the Tellys, and this one kind of caught me by surprise. So I'm not really big on Squires, and so this is their newest series, and they're using sort of like pastel colors, and they brand new. They're probably like $2.99. These are the new Sonic series. They come in yellow and some pretty cool colors. Now this is the after effect, and I've had this for just a day, you know, and I hydrated the neck. And actually this neck this Laurel fretboard actually looks a little bit better than the one on the 59 that sells for, you know, 10 times as much as this one. But this is your typical, you know, Squire Strat. Now, what makes this Sonic guitar different is what I discovered, because I was wondering, because I actually was there a couple days before. I was really liking how this sounded. I was like, why does this Squire sound different? It played really decent, but it sounded different. Not like most typical made in China Squire. This one's made actually in Indonesia. Yeah. Them poor bastards, man. They have a rough life out there in Indonesia. Anyway, so what I discovered was the pickups. Yeah. I'll give you an example. Hold on, of what's happened here with this new Sonic series. Okay, so what is the big change? Well, this is typically what I would see, and I've seen this many times over. This is out of the Tease guitar. Most ceramic pickups, including Squire and God knows who else, they usually use this kind of nonsense right here. You know, they're fair. They're definitely beginner. They're just to give the guitar some sort of sound. And sometimes these aren't all that terrible, but you know, they're pretty blah. You know, they have a lot of, they're pretty much, some of them can be very microphonic, but so this is out of the teeth, and this is what I would usually hope to see in a Fender Squire with dime-sized pots and import switch. However, now in the new Sonics, when I took off the cavity, the pick guard, it had Mexican ceramic pickups. And then I understood why it sounded really a hell of a lot better. And as you know, even Philip McKnight, he did a video explaining that even ceramic pickups can sound very, very good. And there is a lot of tonal properties, and they just, you know, not all of them, but sometimes, man, you'll pick up a Fender made in Mexico. It's got ceramic pickups, and I have one as a testament of that, and they just sound sweet, and they have good output and character. So the new Sonic series has those type of ceramic pickups in there, and it kind of explained why it sounded as good as it did. So we'll just kind of take a quick listen to that, and then I'll do another video of showcasing the 59. Yeah, so let's do that. All right, welcome back to the Matrix. So now that they've incorporated Mexican style ceramic pickups, the projection of output is stronger. If you've noticed in the past, all the Squire pickups were very weak, and you had to usually turn up your amp. But these are definitely louder, and that's nice because you're really getting basically Mexican ceramic pickups in these very inexpensive Squire, at least in this series. So, and it's nice. Position 4 has quack. It's still very bright. I mean, and they do. They're very punchy. Middle position. This guitar is not in a negative way. It's very tight. It's very focused and very punchy. It's because of the pickups that really made this particular units more viable, in my opinion. And I only picked it up for $1.50. Out of pocket for trading in all of the tellies that I had with the Epiphone and this, I was only out like maybe $80 for both of the units. And also another note is they gave me close to what I almost paid for the Firefly guitars on the tellies, which was quite surprising. They gave me $220 on the Firefly telly on the white one, which it retained a lot of value, surprisingly, and then the Squire Flame Maple Top they gave me $200, so retained a lot of value. I just like, okay, I got no problem with that. Position 2. So I think that really makes this series with their pastel colors, and I kind of like this pastel color. It was really, really nice. With the Mexican ceramic pickups, I mean, it does make a big difference. Here's the bridge. Nice, right? Again, it surprised me, and so I brought it home. I did, gave it a decent go over. I added not the saddles, but I replaced the bridge with a little bit of a heavier made in Mexico bridge, and kept the saddles. Didn't do anything with the electronics. Did a little bit of fret work. It had a little bit of a fret sprout, but I addressed that, smoothed that all out, hydrated the neck, tightened the tuners down, and it's great. It's got the same playability as a Mexican Strat. It's still lacking probably the wood. I think this is probably like poplar or something. I haven't really done the specs, and this is not an official demo channel, but I'm just showing you what I got. That's crazy, right? That's in the neck. Wait, what was that? I've never heard a Squire sound that good. I'm sorry. It's the pickups. It's the Mexican pickups, ceramic pickups, and these things that give it. I mean, even if you were to buy this for your kid, for yourself, even at full retail, I don't think these series disappoint. And I got this half off. I mean, so somebody just gave up on it, I guess. That's crispy. So anyway, guys, thanks for hanging out. I'm just sharing with you what's new on the menu, and man, I'm really surprised with. I didn't know. Nobody told me. I found out the hard way. So, and I don't know if it's in the description of what pickups they're using, but this thing is sweet. I mean, I was surprised, no doubt about it. This guitar surprised me, and I think it's definitely a keeper just because of that color. I like the color. It's kind of really cool, man. And the way that it sounds, it's not like any. It's definitely not like any Squire. But thanks for hanging out, and I hope you have a blessed day. And I will do another video with the Epiphone 59. Now those pickups in there really are really nice. And Philip McKnight did a video on that particular unit. You should go watch that. When I do a video, I'll leave a link to it, but it's really a nice guitar. But at what I paid for it, it's a no-brainer. I mean, so that's a score right there. That Epiphone is a score. This is a score for sure. And now I'm down to only this Telecaster Firefly, and then I think also the Ert guitar is a Tele style, but it's different. It's not really Tele style with the dual humbuckers. So that only gives me two, which I'm probably more content with. Having 5 was just a little too much. All right, guys. Later. Have a blessed week.